The holiday season can get pretty hectic with a lot of things happening around us, and it's also very easy, to forget about our pets, especially. However, it's also important that the pets are the beloved members of the family, and they rely on us for care, attention, and the safety, or for the most part, their well-being as well. So joining us this morning is Kristein van Zyl, Canine Care coordinator, who's here to speak to us about looking after pets during the holiday, or rather, what you can learn on how you can better take care of your pets in the new year. A very good morning to you, Kristein. Thank you so much.
Morning. Thank you, John. Thank you for having me here.
Absolute pleasure to have you this morning. Firstly, perhaps let's start by understanding what Canine Care is all about, what it actually does, yeah.
Okay, so what I basically do is I'm responsible for all the animals, so the canines, all the dogs. So I supervise all the staff that are feeding and cleaning and taking care of the dogs.
Yeah.
I also do various behavioral assessments with the animals and match up and dogs with potential adopters as well.
Very well, very, very important. Explain to us then why it's actually important to keep a close eye on your pets, not only all year round, but specifically looking at the holiday seasons.
So the holiday seasons bring a lot of times where people are outside of their normal routine.
Right.
So it's good to keep, be conscious of where your animals are. So holiday time, you have a lot more guests coming around who can leave the gates open, who don't, see where the dogs are. And that can cause the dogs to run out, and they can either get lost or even stolen or even hit by a car.
Yeah.
So people being out of their normal routine just need to make sure, if I'm having guests over, where's my dog? Am I keeping it inside so I know it doesn't run out the gate? Do I welcome my guests at the gate to make sure that no one leaves the gate unattended? Just to be conscious of where your animals are when you're receiving guests as well.
Yeah, and I think even speaking about the routines, also we almost forget to even feed them as well.
Yes, yeah. People get very caught up in the holiday celebration, and you go out with friends and it takes longer than you thought. And like you mentioned, it is good to still keep in mind about your pet that is at home, to make sure that they do have sufficient water, that they do have sufficient food, or at least regular meal times as well.
Absolutely. What are some of the common holiday hazards that pet owners actually need to be aware of?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, people coming around, the increase of people in the area. You also have, like we spoke now about the water safety, people who are under the influence. They tend to also, cause trouble or drive faster than they should, which can then cause accidents with animals on the road. Yeah. But there's also other hazards, like people put up Christmas trees that have lights, and animals can chew those cables and choke on them, and gifts that are lying around, papers, things that animals can actually swallow or eat by accident and then cause them health problems.
Yeah, and speaking of, the amount of people, or whether a lot of people that actually will come around an environment where a pet is, of course, usually it's habitat, whether at a house or wherever. Does this actually cause any behavioral changes to a pet?
Yes, it can. So just like with people, we have dogs that are more social and dogs that are unsocial. So some dogs or animals don't like it when there's a lot of people or new people, and they would want to hide. And it's important to make sure that all your pets have some kind of a safe space where they can be away from people if they choose to be. You have some animals that are very social, so they will be with your guests, also making sure your guests are comfortable with your pets. So if they're not comfortable, make sure the pet gets removed into a safe space where they can be on their own and out of trouble. But if they are scared of people, make sure that they, again, are in a safe space where they can feel comfortable and not be disturbed by all the people.
Yeah, and I think it also comes to not only, being antisocial, sometimes actually becomes aggressive, especially dogs.
Yes.
I had a pit bull back in the days, and it would normally around the people, my friends who are most time around, to be very social and all that, but when it's people that it's actually not used to, becomes aggressive. Yes. It's so many other things. Why do you think that happens?
So a lot of dogs will bite out of fear. So not knowing a stranger, not knowing a strange place, strange noises, that's why the fireworks are so bad for them, because they don't know what it is. And their first reaction out of fear is to bite, because they see, okay, if I bite, this thing gets removed from my situation. So unfortunately, a lot of people don't read their dog's body language, because the dog won't just bite for no reason. They always have some kind of warning sign, which we as people often miss. So they might, lift their lip and we think it's funny and we go in to touch them anyway, where the dog has already warned you to say you are too close, so now you're getting even closer. And then their next reaction is to be aggressive.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people also then forget to have this sort of measures on how they can keep the pet safe. I mean, it can be having a specific place in your house where you keep at least the dog restrained or something like that. But how important really is it to have those kind of things, or rather those kind of measures in your house whenever whenever it comes to a period of actually having a guest around, actually any other environments that can actually or rather harm a pet's behavior?
Yeah, so it's very important that people know their animals. Like you now mentioned, your dog was fine with people you know, but strangers not.
Yeah.
And if that's something you know, and you know strange people are coming, like you say, you remove the dog into a safe space so that they are away from the strangers. Also, animals that get overwhelmed by loud noises in holiday destinations, it's also good to remove them from the situation. And there's a lot of interactive toys and treats and stuff that you can give your dog that keeps them busy, but also gives them calming things like licking. You get something called a lick mat, but even using a Tupperware lid and putting something that is dog safe on it for your dog to lick, because licking is a stress reliever for animals, and it keeps him busy, it keeps him mentally stimulated, and it keeps his nose, his senses also stimulated. So not just leaving them in a room because they want to get out, but giving them something to do while they're in a different space.
And also making sure that you don't keep them there too long.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So in Namibia, you're not allowed to tie up animals. So it is important that if you have a backyard space, that there's enough space for the animal to roam around, enough shade, enough shelter from rain. And then if it's in a room or area, like you said, not to keep it there the whole day.
And how can pet owners actually help their pets adjust to these changes, without causing animals to stress or even making sure that they don't lose their behavior and that actually are more rather comfortable around a lot of people? Does that mean that I have to constantly find a trainer, perhaps to also help them with the animals' behavior around strangers? How can I do that?
Yeah, so ideally it would be great if you had a puppy from small age.
Yeah.
We talk about socialization, but another word is to expose them to positive stuff in a positive manner. And there is a certain age gap in which dogs are very, this is where they learn to be afraid of stuff, to learn to be confident with stuff.
Yeah.
So if you have a puppy at home, to do your research on how to positively expose them to different environments, different people, different elements, horses, bicycles, motorbikes. So there are ways that you, as a young puppy, can expose them, which in the long run will give them the confidence as an adult dog. There are many dog behaviorists and trainers available also in Windhoek that can also help you train your dog and give them more confidence, and also train us as people, how to introduce your dog to something. You can't just put it by a motorbike and switch it on and, hope the dog is positive with it.
Right.
So there are some steps that you can take to learn to positively introduce your animal to new environments and things.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the holiday season as well, speaking of nutrition now, it can often, bring a lot of delicious food around for pets. Are there any holiday foods or perhaps nutritional tips for pets that should be considered, and some that, of course, a pet owner should make sure that they can actually keep this type of food away from the pet? Yeah.
So a lot of human food, if we can put it like that, is actually bad for animals. So anything that has spices in it, salt, pepper, whatever spices, garlic and things like that, is really bad for your animals.
Yeah.
Fruits like grapes, raisins, avocados, those are all really bad. Chocolate is really bad for your animals.
Yeah.
There are some stuff that are safer, like dogs love carrots, and carrots are actually quite safe for them. So before you give your dog anything, just check, make sure that this is actually something that can be safe for them. But there's also so many treats on the market. So, if it's holiday time and everyone is going to have nice things, have a treat jar close by so people can give your dog safe treats instead of feeding them off the table. Bones are also a big problem because a lot of times they get stuck inside either the throat or the stomach, and they can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So not to give your dogs bone, there are a lot of safer chew alternatives that you can actually give your animals.
Yeah, very, very important that. Are there any services that Canine Care then offers to pet owners as well on how you can make sure that your pet is, of course, well maintained and also well taken care of, just not only over the holiday season, but of course all year out?
Yeah. So as part of SPCA in preventing animal cruelty, we get a lot of phone calls from people that have either animals with medical or behavioral problems. And a lot of times we can advise them on certain behavioral things. We can give them advice and tips. We can assess, the health of the animal and refer them to a veterinary clinic. So a lot of people will phone and say, oh, but my dog has been sick for 3 days. And we say, okay, he needs to immediately go to the vet. Or they'll phone and say, but he threw up this morning. And you can say, okay, but does he have other symptoms? If he gets worse, then definitely take him to the vet. So at SPCA, we're always open for people to phone us or email us with any questions they may have. Because if we can help them retain the animals in their house in a safer way, that's our main goal. We really don't want to just remove the animals from a situation. So where we can educate people first, that's what we try and do to make sure that they in future can also care for pets better.
Yeah, I know we've spoken a lot about making sure that a pet is, of course, kept in an environment that's stress-free. But I think in a way it also causes us as well to stress on how we can actually make sure that we take care of the pet properly. How can we make sure, looking at the holiday season, that we actually create a stress-free environment, not only for the pet, but of course for the owner as well?
Yeah, so there are a few options you can do if you're traveling without your pets. So one of the options, there are multiple boarding facilities within Windhoek, and SPCA also has a boarding facility. So that's basically doggy hotel, where you take your animals to, you pay them a certain fee, and they stay there, and the facility cares for your animal while you're away. The other alternative is having someone stay at your house, like a friend or a family member. There are some house sitters as well, individuals who go to your house and either stay there or they check in on your animal daily. So we always recommend to people at least once a day or twice a day is better. If animals are left unattended for 24 hours or more, they are considered abandoned and neglected. And that is animal cruelty. So it's better to have someone...
Any consequences to that?
Yeah, so animal cruelty, a case can be opened against you at city police as well, and your animal can be confiscated. And you can get fined as well.
Let's talk about handling pets around children and also making sure that the child is safe, the animal also is safe.
Yes.
What advice do you have for parents around pet owners?
Yeah, so I would always say that parents need to supervise their children around animals. If it's your own animal, it's one thing because they know your children and your children knows them. Some dogs are not comfortable being handled. Some dogs don't like little kids. Some dogs don't like noises. And oftentimes kids unintentionally, they're playing, they're shouting, they're running, they're jumping. So they unintentionally either scare or hurt the animal, which then causes the animal to bite. So it's important never to leave your kids unattended with animals, especially ones you don't know, but to also teach your children that they should never just approach an animal. They need to ask if the pet owner is there, can I touch your dog? And they would say, no, he doesn't like it, or yes, you can touch him here, or sit down before you touch him, so that kids also learn that you can't just approach any animal. You need to make sure that you respect the space of that animal and that you are careful around them.
Absolutely. Kristein, very, very important conversation that you brought this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
and of course, wish you a blessed 2026 and I hope to speak in the future.
Thank you so much. You guys as well.
Absolutely.